What is going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? Thank you for stopping by. I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. Love having you here. This is my weekly haul video slash synopsis of the comic books that I read this week. If you want a deeper view on these comic books with an actual panel, please check us out on Blaster Stash at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, where all the cool cats hang out. I really need to do an intro video so I don't have to say that every time. I mean, I don't mind. It's weird. I think I need to learn how to edit first, so you wouldn't have to sit through personal thoughts. Anyway, so a couple of things happened. I ordered my books off of my comic book shop. Great place to shop, packed very well. They do a great job over there. And I saw some things I didn't get last week, so I kind of added that in there. Plus, I did some comic book stuff, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. Oy vey, it was a mess. So, so if some of this stuff looks like it came out last week, it's because I got it late. And of course, as always, I have my notes here, tons and tons of notes with summaries and thoughts about the book and how it worked, if it did, in fact, work. So let's go ahead and start kicking this off. First, right up off the bat, we're going to go through all my indie stuff this week. Oh, my goodness. Got myself that issue number 2 of Electric Black. If you're a fan of Tales from the Crypt, like the good ones from like the 90s. If you're a fan of the Twilight Zone. If you're a fan of just those kind of eclectic stories that kind of revolve around a story, and there's like a mysterious pawn shop museum or whatever, you know, the whole watch what you wish for type of thing, this is the book for you. This was a surprising issue. We're dealing with a couple of padres that have to go to a, what do you call the things where nuns live in them? Is it a nunnery? A nunnery? I know in Abbott's what they wear. Wherever they hang out, right? Because apparently some of them are possessed, and come to find out they're all possessed. And this is a classic. The hero's an old, grumpy padre, and he's got a new, young assistant. But then it turns out that they're all badass. Like, there's legitimately a neon cross sword in this thing. I don't know. You need to be picking this up if that's your kind of thing. Definitely check it out. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Any deep meaning behind it? Nope. And we also have an overarching story, too, with some people that kind of know about Electric Black, and they're like some kind of agency. It's a mess, but it's a great mess. Definitely check Electric Black out. Is it ever going to be a book to spec on? I don't know, because it reads like it should be a show, just if that makes sense. So I could see them doing something with it, but I don't know. Hollywood's weird. I need my awkward sip of coffee now, if you don't mind. Oh, Maxwell House, how thee love me. All right, moving on. We got Farmhand. Oh my god, if you don't know, this has been optioned, right, by, I believe, AMC. They're going to go ahead and make a movie out of this, and that kind of makes sense. This reads, again, like a television show, more than Electric Black did. It seems like I'm always reading a screenplay for this. It's kind of weird. And so sometimes you get some very long dialogue. Not in this issue. Man, we find out a lot about Miss Thorne, the mayor of their little Louisiana town. We find out that there's actually a past connection with her and Zeke. We find out Zeke is growing limbs. The little invisible dog is going to be playing a character, or a caterpillar, whatever you want to call that thing. I want to punch my neighbors in the face. It seems like they're always cutting their lawn when I'm doing this. Good job, neighbors. Art in this is stunning. Everything's been great about this. Again, we still have a very odd family dynamic in this, and that's the main part of this story, about family dynamics and how they work. So that was good stuff. I like it. I highly recommend it. Definitely pick it up. As the great legend would say, got to get some of that farmhand, man. Right? Okay. Next, this is a weird one. This is the Boston Metaphysical Society. This is another one of those kind of odd stories where they take historical figures. In this one, we got Thomas Edison, Tesla, Houdini, and several other historical figures that are kind of on this team of Ghostbusters, ghost capturers, ghost destroyers, demon destroyers type of thing. This is an interesting book because it takes place, oh, what year was it that this book takes place? Let me check my notes. 1895. And in the beginning of the story, this cat's running around with a compound bow. Like Rambo. The bow with the wheels on it in 1895. Some of the language in here is kind of quirky from that time era. It sounds cheesy, but it's kind of, I guess, how they talked back then. The art's very cartoony, like you see on here, but it is a good story, and they know how to leave a cliffhanger. This is actually a pretty decent read. I probably wouldn't pay cover price for it again. You'll probably end up finding this in a dollar bin. But if you ever see it, definitely pick it up and just give it a read. I like it when they take historical figures and make them more, in today's or in their time. That's really cool. All right, so those are. Oh no, that's not all. Where's my? There it is. Some other books that we got. We got Goon. Gotta love some Goon. Still love Goon. Love the artwork in it. This is a great story about some devil hooch, if you will, made by the evil Cod. Yeah, they throw a demon cod on you. It makes you throw up this demon stuff. And then there are villains that are some cult are bottling it and giving it to all the bums. I like the realism that Goon uses in its dialogue, too. It's very Depression era, city wise guy kind of language, and it's really fun to read because every now and then you'll find yourself in a sentence you're like, wait a second, let me read that again because that was just great. um, and I love these outros that they use where they explain themselves. If that makes any sense, I'll read it for you. A night like any other in the ragged town full of downtrodden, and by downtrodden, that's just an odd sentence, but the downtrodden and the ones that are doing the downtrodden. Um, I mean bums, just like these two bums. it's it's just great stuff. This story speaks to people's vices and what they'll do for it, and we get a bunch of kids that think they're part of the Goon gang now, and we get a preacher, and they're kind of making fun of their religion a little bit. It's a fun read. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. Again, is it ever going to go anywhere? Oh man, how awesome would it be if they did make a good movie? Like, who would not watch that? And of course, we got Road to Spawn number 299. Great story. Like, they know how to tell a very creepy story. And even though I'm not a huge fan of this kind of black and white jagged artwork, it works for the story because it's a scary story and they're trying to set a tone. I mean, especially right here at the end. I love it. I don't think it would work in anything else that I would probably read, but this is good stuff. And I don't want to spoil it for you because I'm going to tell you right now, this is the issue to have, I think, if my speculation's right on it. But definitely get 300. It will tie up everything. And we're going to have a great story. I don't want to spoil that for you because I think it's going to be kind of shocking. I don't know. If I'm wrong, it's okay. I've been wrong before. Moving on. We got Dial H for Hero. What if the multiverse had a special place where only heroes were created? And that's the Heroverse. In this, we find out what an actual secret origin is and what makes a hero and the deciding factor of it. If I told you that this book is a lot deeper than we're giving it credit, and I don't think it's on purpose either. Some of the interesting things that this book kind of discusses is what is it to be a hero? What is a hero? And it asks, does it happen in the origin? And I guess to some degree it does, but it's all about the choice, right? More than the actual say-so. If you think about what makes a hero, right? You got passion, you got focus, determination, resiliency. These all sounds like good attributes of a hero. Well, the truth is, villains have those same attributes because that's what kind of makes them villains, right? So what we're really talking about here is that ultimate decision. Do I sacrifice myself or do I gain for myself? And how we look at that as a society. I know that's deep. I know I'm maybe getting a little too deep on something as simple as Dial H for a Hero, but this is awesome. And also at the end of this, we found out that everybody can now dial H for Hero through their cell phone or whatever device that they're using. So I think we're going to get a bunch of quirky new type superheroes pop out of this. It's going to be a great deal. I like the play on the origin story theme that they had through it. In the background, they had several classic origin stories of like Wonder Woman and the Green Lantern and Superman and Batman, right? They kind of had these playing in the background while we have our character going through what is presumed to be their origin story. I don't know. I'm digging this. This is good to read. That's right. You said it. Awkward sip of coffee. Moving on. Justice League Dark. Not as good as the other story arcs in this one. This is annual #1. We're really focusing on Swamp Thing here and Wood Rune as the characters in this one. And I guess we got a first appearance of this Petal type new Guardian of the Green, maybe. It was kind of a weird story, but it was such a sad story. Oh my lord! So, guys, the scientist guy's obsessed. They've lost a kid. Him and his wife. Him and his wife aren't getting along after this happened. They split up. He kills himself through some sort of chemical burn. He gets chosen to be the Guardian of the Green, and now he's this flowery monster, and what he tends to forget is that flowers tend to die. So as he starts creating people to some degree, I will call it that, and he recreates things that look like his child that passed away. Wife takes these kids in and then kind of has to sit there and watch them wilt and fade away because that's the nature of a flower. That was just good job, writer. Like that was kind of like that. Right in the feelings, watching the little kids fade away like that. You really felt the tone of this story. I thought it was great. We don't get too much stuff about the Green nowadays, and it's kind of good to get an understanding that you can fall out of favor of it and things along those lines, like Swamp Thing did. After it's all said and done, Woodwin actually ends up eating the Petal. I forget what they kept naming it. Ends up eating them, so he kind of takes his power as well. So now he's doubled up. So now he's like this wood tree type thing plus the flower type thing. And looks like they're going to cause some trouble with a villain that just showed up at the end. It's a good read, right? I think it's fun. Sad. Definitely the parts that were supposed to hit you in the feels, it hits you in the feels. So good stuff there. Moving on is The Batman Who Laughs. This is #7. This closes this arc right here. And as I'm looking down at my notes, I want to be able to accurately talk about this. This is a very interesting book. Probably more interesting than people are giving it credit. So if you don't know, Batman took the serum. Our Batman. We'll call him our Batman. Right? The real Batman. Please stand up. Please stand up. The real Batman takes the serum, the kind of what he thinks will delay him turning into the Batman Who Laughs version of a Batman Who Laughs. It gets complicated. Sit back and strap in. We're going to get through this, though. So he takes the serum. Joker gave it to him, that kind of thing. So that beats us up to here. They're hanging out, and they're talking about how good it is to be the Batman Who Laughs, to be this other thing. And we got the drones are coming out. They're going to gas everybody. Yada, yada, yada. Words, words, words. What ultimately ends up happening is, and what I really kind of focused on, and I've read it twice, is Batman overcomes when the serum is supposed to take him over. He kind of has this resiliency to it. But what's even better than that is when he's explaining to Alfred that why it took so long, and that it was actually a ploy by the Joker because he put all these clues together. He's a detective, and it kind of made. And then Alfred's like, "No, sorry, you're wrong. You legitimately did it. Like your whole theory thing is just crushed." And I thought that was pretty amazing, because Batman's Batman again. It's good to read a Batman story where, and I've always said, Batman does have a superhero. It is just straight up resiliency to the 10th level, right? I've always said that, and it was good to be able to see it. But instead of getting rid of the Batman Who Laughs, they imprison him because superheroes are stupid sometimes. The only thing I kind of thought was, I don't know, stupid, was right here where they're talking about the nature of a bat and what a bat is. Bats being the only mammal that can fly. It doesn't use feathers. It uses its skin stretched out between hands. If you've ever seen an x-ray of a bat, it's actually kind of interesting. They look like giant hands. That's garbage. I don't buy that analogy because I think what people tend to forget is that human beings fly. Like, we don't flap our hands and fly, but we've damn sure flown more, farther, and higher than any other living creature on this planet. So I think maybe the analogy should have been human resilience. That would have been a better metaphor. The entire metaphor at the end is nothing more than a recap of the story. But I did have one interesting question. While he's sitting there holding his crown, you can't see through the eyes. Well, if it's actual hood that covers you, why are you able to see through the eyes here into the fire that's in front of him? That's a fireplace in front of him, I'm assuming. And it's burning. Huh. It's interesting. And we also find out that Jim Gordon's got something going on with him. That's going to be good stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Next, The Batman, The Last Night on Earth. Man, this entire comic book was a drag, right? All the way until you got to the end. And fair enough, they have to build the world that they're in because apparently we don't understand the rules of this particular universe. So that kind of gets laid out for us, what happened, why he was in a coma. And of course, we got the Joker constantly wanting to tell a joke or a wisecrack. And then we get to the end and we find out something interesting. We get the Court of Owls, and we find out that Dick Grayson is part of this Court of Owls now. We're looking after a character by the name of Omega. And Omega's a Batman-like creature. He looks more like Max. Remember Max? And Batman and Max. He kind of looks like that. I want to find a picture of it to show you. I think that would be great. I like the little subtleties, or the nuances, I should say, of this book when they do, like, what does it look like when the Speed Force turns into a tornado with all the flashes in it. Good shout out to Unknown Soldier. Did anybody else catch that? That's Unknown Soldier, right? It's like an army of Unknown Soldier, that character. I thought that was really cool. Somebody tried to say Hush, and I'm like, no, it's not Hush, you moron. Moving on, and just we get a quick, what's Swamp Thing been up to? What's he getting into? Trying to get into things. And then we get our Omega character. And see, right there, if you look at the face, does that kind of look like a futuristic version of Max to some degree? I don't know. Maybe they're going to do something with it. Maybe they won't. I don't know. All in all, this is a good story. Again, I thought it dragged a little bit, but it hit on the points that it did enough just to keep you interested and keep reading it. What are we talking about? We're telling a classic journey story here of not only catching up to what the current event is, but giving ourselves an existential problem as our goal line to get to. I think that's very key in most storytelling. Think about things like, what is it? The Hobbit, right? I mean, legitimately, the movie and the book, 90% of that is a group of people walking. That's it, right? So you need that goal point, and that goal point is actually the arc to the trouble, to the conflict. I like that kind of storytelling. I thought this might have dragged it on just a little too much, but I thought it was a great story. Definitely throw that into your reading list. You can't go wrong. Moving on to Marvel. I got a lot of Marvel because Marvel pumps out a bunch of crap. Some good, some bad. So let's roll into that. Venom. Number one, of course, because it's Marvel. Like every other issue is a number one. Now, you know what? I waited to the very last minute to decide if I like this or not, and I don't. It's nothing against the character. I think the character is interesting. I don't much care for the way that it was drawn. Like, I like the way she looks here, and I like the way she looks and the backstory, but this kind of, I don't know, right? I don't know. This is a little too cartoony for me. I get it. She's basically a dog catcher for the universe. Good job. Don't care. And you thought it would be cool to capture a human or a symbiote. And you're a little bit of a trickster, and you got special gadgets to be able to do it. We've seen and heard this story, and it's not particularly interesting to me. However, the second story in the back, her motivations, why she does this stuff. I found that story to be the story to be telling, and they should have done that in the front and extend that story out. I like it when they tell us about a character that we haven't seen in a very long time. Um, Even if we have, I don't know if Hellbender has been in comic books. I thought I looked it up. Did I not? Let me see. Okay. Anyway, we get her motivations and why she feels she needs to save these animals or capture these animals. We see it as capturing. She sees it as saving. Um, so yeah, next, this is part of the Acts of Evil run. So the next issue after this will be, I believe, a Deadpool issue. Yeah, Deadpool annual, and it will play along these themes as well. It looks like we're going to get a scene from Nightmare. He's going to be in that as well. And to be honest, I thought that was the cover to get. I just like my villains. This makes sense to me. Villains are good people. Oh, we got messages from people. Okay, anyway. Moving on, time warps. You know I love me some of this time warp stuff. If you've watched any of my videos where this comic book has come out, this one deals with Iron Hammer, and of course it's a #1 because Marvel and words at this point. All right, so if you don't know, the stone that this universe is captured in is ruptured, and all the realities are collapsing on each other. At one point, we have like 12 superheroes crammed into one body, and it's just about anybody and everybody you can think of. And of course, the answer is a lot simpler than it naturally looked. Mjolnir smashing it can ultimately break it because once the crystal is broken, it can come back together. And then everybody's just got the two superheroes in them. Didn't know you need a fancy degree in math to be able to understand a comic book, did you? The first story was great. It made sense. The second story, however, in this, where they tried to do like the homage to the Demon in the Bottle run, I didn't much care for that story. I'm not really sure what they were trying to tell me in this. Apparently, people can wear Iron Man suits and do everything the Iron Man can. Well, we already know that. Like, I don't understand. It didn't make any sense. So yeah, it is what it is. Not particularly interesting, but the first story, the good closeout of this warped universe, I thought that was really good. I really liked the play on all these different. I like how they described it, where they got these histories, and the histories kind of don't fall in line. So it gets very awkward, and the mental capacity it took to be able to maintain that. I thought that was fun. They did a quick play on it in a couple of panels. I wish they would have stretched that out a little farther, but they got a story to tell. So that was really good. Fantastic Four, I went with the Carnage version. On this one, I liked this to some degree. Again, this is another one where they're telling two stories. The first story is definitely the story to read. If you don't know, apparently once a year, Grimm, or Thing, right, Ben Grimm Thing, actually transformed back into a human. So he wants to hurry up, grab his wife, his new wife, and they want to go on a honeymoon because I'm sure things are a lot easier to do when he's not a rock. I should say hard right now and say that's what she said. But I'm not going to. Nope, not doing it. Anyway, so they're trying to get over there so they can try to make a baby or whatever it is that adults do in the dark. And of course, somebody has to ruin it. And it's his father-in-law, Puppet Master, who's kind of controlling the Hulk right now. So we're getting that great classic battle of Hulk and Thing. They're duking it out. And I think at the end of the story, Thing has like 52 minutes to hurry up and dispatch this fight and get it done before he changes into a human and really gets jacked up by the Hulk, right? Dangerous stuff going on in here. What's the motivation behind it? We'll soon find out. But it is a great story. I had a great time with it. Now, the second story. Let's rap about that. I forget the superhero team, the comic book name that this is based off. Starband? Yeah, with Dragon Man or Monster or whatever. This story's stupid. They spent more time explaining to us the depression of the sister. If you don't know, she's the one that can fly really fast, and there's like a rainbow trail behind her. Well, apparently that's still her superpower because, I don't know, that somebody thought it was a good idea. I don't know. Very heavy personalized story on this. And what I mean by that is we got to find out everything that's going on with this female. She flunked out of college. Her girlfriend left her. She came out as a bisexual. Apparently that's a problem. I don't know. We're in 2019. I expect half the youth to be bisexual at this point. And all these problems. And for some reason, she's the one that needs to be in charge of the ship. Like, she can't accomplish a single thing, but apparently she can lead a team because her idiot brother's too stupid to figure it out. I tell you what, here's my problem with it. And I understand we're talking about a comic book, so it shouldn't only but deal in reality, but so much. But I tell you what, just for laughs, I want you to write a resume, one-page resume, of all the things that you have ever failed at epically, and submit that in for a job in management. You could probably be a politician. Like, that's about it. Ooh. Ooh, did that one sting? Okay, so apparently she's going to be in charge of their team again because words, feelings, and nobody gives a shit. All right, moving on. Oh, yeah. House of X #2. Have you been waiting for me to talk about this one? I don't know. I like 2 of the stories in it. The rest of it I could really care less about. And this whole thing right here in the front, where Xavier's walking around some sort of carnival and is it in his mind? We have to assume so. Yada, yada, yada. I didn't much care for that. That was kind of boring. I mostly like the current X-Men story that they keep telling in here with Mystique and all that. I'm getting into that. I'm trying to work with it. And not the super duper future stuff, but the stuff just before that with Nimrod. First off, great play on name there. Like Nimrod. If you don't know, Nimrod was an ancient ruler throughout Mesopotamia and Egypt, I believe. Well, he run that area. Like, he was running a role in that area, son. Nimrod's also the one who brought the war to Troy. Right? That was kind of his thing, right? Not overly particular because it was Nimrod's wife that was being held there, but mostly because he just supported the fight, if that makes any sense. History. So yeah, overall, I thought the artwork is stunning in this, but the story's kind of all over the place. And big shout out to Jack Yo out there, who last week at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on the Blaster Stash It channel brought up a very good point about Hickman's writing. Hickman is this slow burn writer with nuances that kind of get stretched out over a period of time. So Jacko, good pointing that out. Sometimes it's good a reminder. I try not to know who wrote a story when I go into it. Or when I try to read it, because I want to come in with fresh eyes and I don't want to judge a book until the story's done. There are some exceptions, as we'll talk about today. Okay, moving on. We'll save the bad news for last. Conan, hey, we got another story from his past, and we now kind of sort of have a connection between a ruler that has a problem with him and the Crimson Witch and her children. Still nothing about them. Like, we don't know what makes these kids special, why we never seen them before still. But this is a great zombie story. Or let's go ahead and dive a little deeper and say it's a you can never go home story, right? You've heard that saying. This is kind of what that is. Conan goes back. Somebody screws up this ruler in the background here. Kind of makes everybody a zombie by sending some rabid dogs out there. And it kind of does this virus type or virus zombie type disease, and everybody turns into it. And of course, it acts like a vampire. If you kill the first one infected, you'll be able to save everybody else. Scary story, definitely. Creepy as all get out, right? Even the artwork in it's very this unusual kind of graphic novel type stuff, artwork. And of course, heads are getting lopped off everywhere. But there is a connection between this guy that has a problem with Conan and the Crimson Witch and the kids. Still waiting for the current story to catch me in some way, but that doesn't seem to be a priority. Thor. Hey, you want to know how you make a child soldier? Bam! There's your guide. So far, issues 1 through 4 are pretty much how you make children soldiers. Just throwing that out there in case you want to have an army. This has been good. I like this. I like it from the aspect of the I don't think I'm a father, but I'm actually a father type story. The Mad Titan himself, what makes him mad? Well, apparently he sees and hears death and voices, and Magnus is talking to him in this for no reason whatsoever. We want to think it's in his head, but is it? We don't know. She gets smarter and smarter as she hangs out with this villainous group of people. She figures out a way to make herself known in what ship she's in by attacking the pilot, of course. Thanos finds out, launches 2 missiles to the other ones, drops it, and then she gets to own a ship. And she names it Lucky, I think. This is fun reading. It's interesting to me. I like watching what we know as the Black Order, or Butcher Squad, as they're called in here, kind of do this back and forth. I'm on this side, I'm on this side, I'm on this side, I'm on this side. It's a constant back and forth there. Tells us a lot about Maul. Good stuff, good read. Definitely check it out. Moving on, we got Avengers. This is number 22. I don't care about this new Ghost Rider. Like, did somebody really ask for this? Are you a fan of this new Ghost Rider? Comment down below, because I don't. He's a whiner. Like, I don't get it. Like, is that what's popping? Is that what's hot right now? Being a whiner race car driver? Like, I don't know. But luckily, we don't have to deal with him too much, because he meets up with Johnny Blaze on his motorcycle in hell, and they're gonna race. They're gonna race. That's what you got for. They're not gonna fight. They're just gonna give us a bunch of panels of them driving down a road. And a lot of thought bubbles, because let's be honest, let time to talk to yourself. Yeah, thank you, Avengers. Moving on. First off, let me say Coates, the writer Coates, the one that I've actually followed. You need to, Captain America has a Wikipedia page, right? Like, legitimately, you can go look him up and stop writing this garbage. Now, let me be very clear. I like the idea of the Daughters of Liberty. I thought that would have been a great comic book to introduce them in here and then spin them off. But apparently, they're just going to go ahead and take the limelight. Very much cringeworthy stuff going on in here. This is somebody that that had a good idea in writing comic books and just can't follow through. I'm sorry. You know what? Screw you. Coates, screw you. You can't write a Captain America comic book. You're horrible at it, and you're a horrible human being for doing this. And I will thus explain and prove my point. So, we break Captain America out of a prison. The ladies do. That's great. Good job. So some cool stuff should start happening, right? No, instead, the lady who ordered him to be broken out doesn't understand why he's broken out. Yeah, that legitimately happened. If you look back a couple of issues, it was her idea to break him out. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, what are we going to do now that you've been broken out? What the? Bitch, it was your idea. Like, what are you talking about? And then we find out that we don't need a Captain America. We need a Steve Rogers. Oh, I just want to punch you in your suckhole, you horrible human being, you. Oh, I hate that. Because, words. They never really explain why we don't need Captain America, we need a Steve Rogers. They don't really explain it. Also, I didn't get this. Again, this is proof that this is somebody who does not understand Captain America at all. In these panels right here, he legitimately says, I'm not used to asking for help. Sounds like a very typical male thing to say. Now, let's look into our comic book history. Name me a series run where Captain America worked by himself and didn't ask for help. Oh, wait. Google it. Yahoo it. Whatever you're thinking, look in your comic book collection. God, that's what he's known for. He is a leader of teams. Like that. Are you? There it is. It's slamming down the wall. Obviously, Coates, you're just a horrible human being. So, yeah, he's going to ask for help, and then, so he asks for help, and then we get this weird thing where they don't want to be called chicks, I think. Yeah, they don't want to be called chicks. I don't know where that came from. That was their idea. It wasn't anybody else's. I don't know. And, of course, we got to hang everything up because, and we're just going to be Steve Rogers with a shield and the Captain America outfit. Oh, yeah, the best one yet. So we have old lady Carter running around here that Steve Rogers is in love with. He actually kisses her a couple of times or once in this thing, and it's just it's like a 60-year-old woman, whatever the case may be. And we have a prisoner, and then we get you know Aunt Peggy shows up, and she's got the nose ring, and she's hip and cool, and she's been the Druid character the entire time. And screw you, Colts, you're a horrible human being. Seriously, I don't. Is it that bad just to keep some nostalgia about Captain America? Do you have to destroy it? Like, I don't get you. What do you think? Am I missing something here? Am I looking too deep into this? Am I a little hurtful? Am I just a horrible male human being? I don't know. Comment down below and let me know, because I'm missing something, apparently. Other than that, I'm going to do a haul video in a little bit. Some things that I got from an auction and some things I was able to find. We're going to pump that out to you. And don't forget, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. We have a panel of comic book readers and collectors, and we're going to be in the chat talking with you. Because of scheduling conflicts, we are still pre-recording the show, but I and hopefully a few of the other people will be in the chat room. So if you have any questions or concerns, or maybe you just want to call me a jerk, by all means, come by and check us out right there where the live chat is going on. Folks, I got other videos to do today, and then I got to meet up with Spectacular Spider Grandpa. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese. Not like him and me are going to go hang out at Chuck E. Cheese, because that would be awkward. But it's his grandson's birthday. So first off, happy birthday, young man. I'm sure you're going to have a blast today. But folks, that's all I got. Hopefully I'll see you in Baltimore. We'll talk more about that later. Bye.